Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
It's not just the Degenerates Next Door. It is now the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io, your one-stop shop for all things gambling statistics. StatFactory.io. I'm Jason Hammer. That's Rob Kendall. And Rob, on the college show that we do on Tuesdays, which will kind of transition into a college basketball program here coming up the next couple of weeks, but we made the big announcement the other day, StatFactory.io. They have hitched their wagon to us.
Yeah, we love these guys, and the data is amazing. And, we've talked about this, how much data can help you. A lot of these games are around the margins, right? We've talked about the idea of human error, and you can do all the research, but the more information you have, the better you are. It's true with anything in life, and it's certainly true in sports betting. And StatFactory.io, man, I'll tell you what, they have taken all of these websites with all this information, all of these statistics, and put it in one hub. And today we're going to be talking about, as we do these NFL odds, how much quicker this was for me, because they have all the betting lines from all the houses. You can find the best odds like that. And so when I do my bets today, I'm going to tell you where I found the best odds, because in some cases, it's a whole point difference.
Which, how many times have you been beaten by a point or the hook?
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, this is a cool thing, and it's kind of a soft rollout right now. If you go to StatFactory.io, it's a free 7-day trial, and then it's only like $12 a month. And you get this data, this information, and you can use it side by side, compare and contrast. And when I say it's a soft rollout, they're nowhere near done with the finished product yet. They're going to have an AI component to it where you pick out the statistics that you want, you compare it head to head, and then the AI chick, with, by the way, has huge cans, will tell you what she thinks of the numbers that you've pulled. So if you've ever heard one of these professionals, and we use professionals on this show, David Stefanoff and Kenny Britt, if you've ever heard them say, the model says this, or the model projects that, Stat Factory is the model. You have access to your own model, and you customize the statistics however you want. Now, if you're wondering how you use it, this is how you do it. We had Chad from Stat Factory on our program, and this is the Cliff's Notes version of how you use StatFactory.io.
Okay, so you'll hit your dashboard. That'll give you sports selection. You're going to have to select a sport first. Then you're going to have to select a game. Once you select a game, then you'll go to the stat picker, and then you can start scrolling down what stats you want. And in each folder, there's roughly 20 to 60 stats, and there's several folders. Then you can build that. You've got cumulative, you've got Z-score, you've got all these options.
What is Z-score? Like, in the most layman terms, like, talk to me like I'm 5 here, because I see that on Stat Factory's website. What does that mean?
Bad and good.
Okay. I can understand that. Yes. My Ball State education can comprehend that.
One number that represents how the team's performance does based on a scale from 0 to 1.
Okay. So 0 to 1 is the scale. So let's say it's the Detroit Lions. 1 is good.
Absolutely.
So, like, they would be closer to a 1 as to where the New York Giants would be 0. Is there any negatives for the Giants? I don't know.
I cannot answer that. But if there's a negative, it would be the Giants.
And, Rob, again, soft rollout, free 7-day trial. They're going to be adding more stuff. They're going to be adding college football, college basketball. It's mainly NFL. They're getting the NBA up there right now. But if you jump into the mix early, you get the 7-day trial. Just use the promo code DEGENERATES with an S.
Yeah, and again, that promo code is a great way for you to save some money, Degenerates with an S. And what do you got to lose? It's a free trial, and, man, you just spend hours on it. That's part of the fun for me, is making the bet itself and putting the data in and coming up with new ways. And I'll tell you what, these guys are awesome. It's the perfect sponsor for this show, StatFactory.io.
it's a combination of like IT math nerds and gambling degenerates.
Yeah.
Because Chad's one of us.
Yeah, totally.
Like, he bets all the time. So, yeah, check them out, and thank you for sponsoring this show.
And by the way, when I do my picks today, I'm going to use the data that came off of Stat Factory to give you an idea of some of the stuff that's available for you right at your fingertips, just a click of a mouse when you subscribe to Stat Factory.
All right, so let's get down to some of these picks here. And, Rob, you're coming into this week with a little bit of momentum.
Yeah!
Rob Kendall, ladies and gentlemen, had a winning weekend last week. Now, we didn't have a show last week. We were just posting on our Twitter account, our X account, Degenerates Next Door. But winning weekend.
Yeah, and thankfully, Hammer, after all the times of the asking you to cue the Who's Screwing Me Now music, finally.
You mean this music?
Yes.
America's fastest growing game sensation, Who's Going to Screw Me This Week?
Finally, someone else got screwed. Finally, it wasn't me. The Browns, I had the Browns, or the Broncos rather, given 5.5. They're up 11 with 20 seconds to go. The Browns are at the 2-yard line. I looked at my wife and I said, time to cue the Who's Screwing Me Now music. And
this music, it's catchy. It makes losing by the hook feel a little bit better, doesn't it?
she's looking at me like I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I let out a giant, yes! And she said, what do you mean? What happened? And I said, someone other than me finally got screwed.
I love you're such a petty, vindictive man. You're happier when somebody else gets screwed than you are when you actually win your own bet.
That's right. I once had somebody in a government negotiation say to me, you know what the problem with you is? I could give you $20. I could put $20 on this table, and you wouldn't take it if you found out I got 10 of it. I could be giving you $10, and you would reject it just because you dislike me that much. And I said, you're darn right. The thoughts of somebody else finally getting screwed, that just made my week, and it gave me a winning record.
So we are past Thanksgiving, full speed ahead to Christmas, and man, in honor of the Grinch, I'm looking at this schedule, Rob, and you look at these games, stink, stank, stunk. I do not like the board this week. I do not like the schedule of games. But with that being said, I'm not just going to walk away. I'm not just going to be responsible with my money. Hot damn, I want action tonight.
I want action tonight. Satisfaction all night.
And honestly, I think tonight's game, the Thursday game, is the best game on the schedule this entire NFL weekend.
Full disclosure, I tried to take this game with you, and you said, get the hell off my game.
Yes, this is my game. You can get the hell out of here. So you do the Monday nights. I do the Thursday nights. Capiche?
Yeah, very good. I was just blowing through the games, and you're right. The games are so bad, I wasn't even processing what night the games were, and I thought, well, this is one of like 3 games I'd actually want to watch.
The real reality is, if we weren't doing this show, I'd only play about 4 games.
Yeah.
But we try to get 5 out there, right? And we're going to play these 5 because it's what we do. But if I were Mr. Serious Gambler guy, some of these games are just turds.
Yeah.
But tonight is not one of those games. We've got Green Bay at Detroit. Most places, this game is at 3.5. Detroit is a 3.5-point home favorite. Now, you can find a 3 if you play Bovada. I don't know how many people use Bovada anymore, but we know this because of StatFactory.io.
That's right, because I had actually written out a whole thing for this game. I have the same pick as you. I thought I was helping us because I had found the game at a better spread for you. And I thought, oh, Hammer and I can bond over this. And you're like, get off my game. But I did find instantly, thanks to Stat Factory, that at Bovada it was -3, which is the only place it's -3.
I believe it was Roy Munson in the movie Kingpin when he's in the restaurant and Randy Quaid's character Ishmael, the Amish bowling guy, is getting into a fight with Skidmark, played by Roger Clemens. And you hear the sage words of Roy Munson after he punches him out. You don't mow another man's lawn. That's immediately how I felt when you told me you were going to play the Lions game. You freaky piece of... You don't mow another man's lawn. All right. real reality here is the Lions may be the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Winners of 10 straight, but they are banged up. A lot of injuries, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. But Green Bay, just 1-5 straight up in their last 6 games against Detroit. And Detroit, on the other hand, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games against an opponent from their division. So, looking at the numbers here, it seems like Detroit at home is probably my play here. Detroit is playing great football, and these teams played a couple weeks ago, and if you remember, it was in Green Bay, rain, like nasty, muddy type of weather, but the Lions still went into Green Bay and won that type of game. Because a lot of people would say, well, they're good on turf. They're good indoors. Jared Goff likes to throw the ball. They went to Green Bay in a nasty, swampy, cold rain game and beat the Packers in their own house. So for those reasons right there, I'm on Detroit tonight. I'm going to lay 3.5. Now, Green Bay is really good in the first quarter. Don't sweat it if Green Bay comes out swinging, because that's kind of their thing. So if you want to, don't be afraid to look at maybe a first quarter Green Bay money line. But full game here, the official play, Detroit minus 3.5. And for some prop bet action tonight, Jared Goff. We're going to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Rob, I had to double check the numbers here because this is an insane stat. Jared Goff has thrown 2 or more touchdowns in each of the last 11 home games against NFC North opponents. 11. Now, the Bears are traditionally trash, but defensively, sometimes they're pretty good. There are some decent defenses in that division, but Goff at home throws for touchdowns. So we're going over 1.5 tonight. And if you need something on the other side of the ball, because that's kind of how I like to do these, right? I always want to have something to watch, some action, whoever has the football. Let's go to Josh Jacobs here. Josh Jacobs of Green Bay. The over-under on his rushing yards is set at 69.
69.
69. And go back to that muddy game about a month ago. 13 carries, 95 yards. Got 95 yards and just 13 carries in some crappy conditions. He's rushed for more than 70 yards in 8 of the last 11 games. Detroit's defense, not real strong against the run. They're missing Hutchinson. One of their tackling machines, Rodriguez, was injured against the Colts a couple weeks ago. He's gone. A lot of injuries up front. And if you're Green Bay, the best way to make sure Jared Goff isn't throwing multiple touchdowns is keeping them off the field. How do you do that? You run the ball. So we're going over 69 rushing yards.
Yeah. 69.
With Josh Jacobs tonight. All right, Rob, let's go to the Steelers and the Browns. The Browns knocking off the Steelers just a couple weeks ago in that blizzard game. This time the Steelers have the home field advantage. The line is 6.5. The over-under is 43.5.
Yeah, 43.5 found on BetUS. This is one of those games where there was a difference. Where you shop does matter. So if you're wanting this game and you got an account there, BetUS with the best odds at 43.5 if you're going over. All right, look, this game, I really need Jameis Winston to do Jameis Winston stuff.
So what you're saying is you need the good Lord to bless Jameis Winston.
I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
You need the good Lord to save him from pick sixes.
Well, here's the deal. I'd like some of those pick sixes on the Browns side of the field, right? I need the good and the bad because last week the Broncos got one of those back for a pick six. But we got to get rid of the end zone interceptions. All right, here's the thing. The Steelers can score some points. And again, all of these stats found at statfactory.io. This is the sort of stuff they'll give you with your subscription to statfactory.io. They're averaging 27 points per game over their last 3 games. The Browns' defense stinks on the road lately, giving almost 32 points a game over their last 3. If the Steelers can get to 28, I just need 16 from the Browns. The Browns are still scoring 23.3 points in their last 3 games. and should have been a lot higher if Jameis Winston hadn't thrown a million picks, including that one on the goal line. Ride the Jameis Lightning, good and bad. Oh, yeah, and the weather's supposed to be pretty good in Pittsburgh this weekend.
And I'm kind of with you on this one. This is a game we agree on here. The over-better's best friend is Jameis Winston because he's going to throw that thing regardless. He's going to throw a few touchdowns. He may throw it to the other team, and they run it in for touchdowns. Either way, the over-better wins. Jameis Winston is the over-better's best friend. And I've used this analogy before, but I think it's accurate. Jameis Winston, having him as your quarterback, is like dropping your kid off at a daycare center in the morning. And when you go back to pick him up in the afternoon, he's either going to be fluent in 3 languages or dead. There's no in between. Like, that's how Jameis Winston gets down. He's either going to be amazing, he's going to put a lot of points up, or he's going to throw it to the other team, and they're going to run it back to the house. But this is a revenge spot for the Steelers. I think they put some money up. They're ticked off. They got beat by these dudes a couple weeks ago. Steelers still trying to get into that home field advantage conversation in the AFC. Russell Wilson actually playing well. I think you get enough from the Browns. I think you get enough from the Steelers. I'm with you. We're going over 43.5. Keep in mind, that Cleveland defense let Bo Nix put up a big number.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's ride the Lightning. All right, Rob, let's go to the Bills and the Rams. The Bills coming off their own blizzard game this past Sunday night. They're now on the road taking on the Rams. The over-under is 49.5. The Bills are a road favorite of 3.5.
Yeah, minus 3.5 found at DraftKings. Another example of if you're willing to shop around something that is very easy for you over at statfactory.io, you can get a point difference here. And for the Bills, the best odds were minus 3.5. All right, so the Bills are averaging 28 points a game in their last 3 on the road. The Rams are scoring 21.67 at home. Bills are giving up only 16.67 on the road the last 3. The Rams are giving up 26.67 in their last 3 at home. That means the Bills have a scoring differential of a plus 11.3 in their last 3 road games, and the Rams have a differential of minus 5 in their last 3 home games. Again, all this information available for you with your subscription to statfactory.io. Plus, it seems like every Rams home game, there's more of the other team's fans than the fans of the Rams. You ever watch a Rams home game? It seems like the other team has more people cheering for it. So I don't think there's any home field advantage here. Rams have scored 21 or fewer in the 3 of their last 4 games. If they get 24, Buffalo's only going to get 28. I'll take the Bills covering the 3.5.
I hate this so much.
What?
We're on the same game again.
Yay!
God. Like, this clip from Dr. Phil is exactly how I feel when you lay out all of the things I want to mention and we have action on the same side.
You're ugly. You're disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
All of that. You're ugly. You're disgusting. I want to kill you. Let's win $200. The Bills are the better team. Now, I hear the argument, this is a trap game. This is a sandwich game. But there's such a difference in talent on this squad, and the Bills seem pretty motivated right now. They do. Again, just like we mentioned with the Steelers, Bills, home field advantage aspirations here, so they can't take their foot off the gas. I'm going to lay the points, minus 3.5 with the Buffalo Bills. All right, we're going to take a little break here. When we come back, more picks from around the league. We'll get our professional handicapper in the mix, Kenny Britt of KB Sports. He's got a free play for you. Do not go anywhere. We are the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Just $12 each month for all of this betting information. All right, Rob, let's go to Chargers and the Chiefs. Pretty good game. It's not super sexy. Nobody is, refusing to leave their television because the Chargers have the football. But 2 very good teams here. Chiefs are a 4-point home favorite, over under 43.
Yeah, again, another example found at Bet Rivers, under 43. This is another one where there are point differentials based on the website you use, the app you use, and it's made super simple for you to find the best odds at statfactory.io. So the Chargers are giving up 13.5 on the road over their last 3. The Chiefs are giving up 18.3 at home over their last 3. Chargers are averaging 19.67 points on the road over the last 3. Chiefs are scoring 21.67 at home. Whether it's points scored or points allowed, these totals for home and road totals over the last 3 both point to an under 43. I'll go under 43 in the game.
All right, let's see what our professional handicapper has in store for us. The big, hairy American winning machine that is Kenny Britt of KB Sports. He has been rolling in the NFL this year. KB, what are we looking at?
How you guys doing today? Thanks for having me on. First of all, I got to talk about Matt Eberflus. I don't know if you guys have talked about it yet, but my God.
Oh, yeah. Rob is a unapologetic Chicago Bears fan. So, yes, we've talked about it. We've been talking about this since like week 2.
My 8 and 11-year-old granddaughters asked me on Thanksgiving Day, Daddy or Pops, why didn't he call a timeout?
Right.
You know, it's just horrible. It was so bad.
Like, I'm not just saying this to be a smartass, but like being the radio guy here, you could have had a contest where caller number 9 calls into the radio station and gets to be the head coach for the final 10 minutes of the game, and they could have done a better job at clock management.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's sad is even after the fact, when he had time to think about it, he still said he did the right thing and it was handled properly.
He doubled down.
He was all in, wasn't he? Don't we have a clip of him getting fired?
Yeah, this is what it sounded like when he walked into the Bears office the next day.
Step into my office. Why? Because you're fucking fired.
That's exactly how that went down, Kenny. That's exactly how it played out.
Short and quick. All right, I'll tell you what I'm looking at. I feel like a little bit of deja vu here, Hammer, because 2 weeks ago I talked about the game of the week being Seattle and Arizona, and here we are again 2 weeks later, and that's probably the top second or third game of the week.
It's not a great schedule this week, is it? Like,
it's not.
We have a great Thursday night game. We talked about that earlier, but I think the Thursday nighter between the Packers and Lions might be the signature game.
Oh, absolutely. And then the Sunday night with the Chargers and Chiefs, and then, Seattle, Arizona. But so 2 weeks ago, I mean, it's going to sound like a broken record. They're fighting for first place in the NFC West. That's a division that nobody seems to want to win. kind of like the NFC South. I think we could have 2 teams in the playoffs this year losing records. I mean, it's feasible from the NFC South and the NFC West. But Seattle and Arizona, they've both got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the balls. I think this game's going to go over. I think it's going to go over by quite a bit this week. Last time they played, it was like 16-6. I was on Seattle because of the home game. I'm all over the over this week. I think it's going to go over by quite a bit. The over's 44. There's just too much firepower on both sides of the ball. There's a lot of opportunities. Last time they played for points, it just didn't happen. Some turnovers. The weather was a little bit bad. No weather issues this week. It doesn't snow in Arizona. I love the over in this game.
So we're going over in the Arizona-Seattle game. And again, Kenny Britt of KB Sports. If somebody wants to subscribe to your services, if they want to reap the rewards of you winning so many damn games, how can they do that?
Thank you, Jason. KB Sports on Facebook is where you can find me. I also give out daily free NBA and NFL props. I do have a special for you, Jason, because I know you're Mr. Prop. I don't want to take your thunder because you're the guy. but the game tonight, I have a prop that I love. Sam Laporta, first quarter over 2.5 receiving yards.
Okay. All right.
They're really trying to get him into the offense. So that might even be one of my VIP plays for the game tonight is that. That's how much I like that. So,
and that's a true degenerate. Like when you're holding on to hope that somebody can have, 2.5, like that's a big time degenerate power play right there.
Yes, and you know what? On Thanksgiving Day, he had 3 catches for 6 yards, but 2 of them were yeah, that was his stat line. 3 for 6, but 2 of them were touchdowns. But they're really trying to get him involved in the offense more. And, I was going over everything, doing my handicapping. And when I saw that, I'm like, that's just a catch.
There you go.
They the ball one time.
I love it. I love those just ridiculous bets that nobody in the world cares about, but we do because we've got action on it.
We love it. We live for them.
Hell yeah. Kenny Britt, KB Sports. Check him out on Facebook. Kenny, awesome stuff, man. We'll talk next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, so you heard Kenny's thoughts on the Seahawks and Cardinals. I got something for this game as well. It's a little different, though. So I'm looking at this as I think the Cardinals are much better at home than the road, averaging more than 24 points per game at home. Meanwhile, Seattle playing their second straight road game and third road game in 4 weeks. I think this is a tired defense. I think they peaked earlier in the season. They're not going to get a lift from a crowd anywhere. I like the Cardinals offense to cook at home. So I'm looking at the team total for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go over 23.5. I feel like Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., they are good for 24 points at home. They're averaging more than 24 points per home. Hot damn, let's ride the Lightning. Over 23.5 team total for the Arizona Cardinals. Rob,
yes.
I think people are canceling their plans this weekend. Maybe they were going to go out shopping. Maybe they were going to go out to dinner, do something festive for the holidays. But then they learned the Saints were at the Giants, and they had to cancel all plans. The Saints, 3.5-point road favorites at the Giants. The over-under, 41.
This is easily the worst game of the week, and I had to play it. Like I'm just drawn to playing the Giants, and I think we're going to start doing with the Giants what we did with Purdue that worked out pretty well for us for most of the year. Fade Purdue. Now I think it's fade the Giants. Look, the Saints stink, and now they're without Hill, so they stink even worse. But here's the deal. The Giants, Stat Factory IO had some interesting stuff on the Giants. All right. FanDuel had this at 3.5, by the way. That was the best odds I could find. Again, you can get that readily available for you in an instant at statfactory.io. It was a full point, actually lower than anywhere else. So FanDuel, full point lower as it was putting the show together at 3.5 than anywhere else. Statistically, the Saints are averaging a whopping 14.3 points per game on the road over the last three. The Giants are scoring 10.7 at home over the last 10.7, Hammer, over the last three.
I believe we've got a comment from somebody on both of these teams, actually.
They just plain suck. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
Homer Simpson, truth to power.
Saints are giving up an average of over 25 in their last three road games. That's a point differential of minus 10.7. The Giants are giving up an average of 28.3 at home over their last three home games. It's an average of negative 17.6. Last time I checked, being down 10.7 is better than being down 17.6, and negative 17.6 is more than 3.5. Is more than 3.5 worse of negative 10.7. So I'll go with the Saints laying the 3.5.
Man's practicing fuzzy math again. You can't let the man continue with fuzzy math.
Fuzzy math by Rob Kendall.
I was staring at this game, looking at these stats, going, how do I even pick this game? They're all in the negative. It's so bad.
One more time out here, but please stick around because Rob Kendall will ball on a budget. We're going to take a little drive down to the prop shop, and we got a few more plays for you. We are the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Carolina at Philadelphia. Now, for those who don't feel like the Lions are the best team in the NFL, hearing a lot of chatter out of Philadelphia. Eagles have been playing some pretty good ball. 12.5 is the line. Philly is a 12.5-point home favorite against Carolina. The over-under is 46. So, look, Philly looks real good. Saquon Barkley looks real good. Jalen Hurts looks real good. Philly is going to win. I feel confident saying that. They may even cover. But, hear me out here. Carolina and Bryce Young have been getting better. So let's take a look at this Carolina Panthers team total here, okay? 16.5. Full game. Not just a half. That's the team total for Carolina. 16.5. Now, the last four games for Bryce Young. 858 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, just 1 interception. So I am going to go over 16.5 total points for the Carolina Panthers here because, Rob, I feel like we've got multiple ways to win. 1, Bryce Young continues to play well, continues to improve, and gets at least 17 points on the board offensively. Okay? Number 2, with such a low number, if Bryce throws a couple picks, if they fumble, then you've got a big special teams play. 1 score like that gets you closer and closer. Again, it's a low total, 16.5. And lastly, and I think this may be where we get our cover at, garbage time. 2 words, garbage time. I can see the Eagles winning this game, going away. They take everybody out. They've got bigger fish to fry. And then some scrubs come in and either throws a pick, there's a fumble, there's a score. I'm just saying, there are multiple ways to get 16.5 points for the Carolina Panthers this weekend. We're going to ride the lightning, and we're going to go over. All right. Those are our plays for the games on Thursday, on Sunday, but there's 1 game left. 1 game left on the board, and it is for Mr. Monday Night himself, Rob Kendall. The Cincinnati Bengals on the road down at Jerry's World. 5.5-point road favorites for Cincinnati. Over under 49.5.
Fresh off me finally screwing everyone on Monday Night Football versus everyone screwing me, I've got some enthusiasm for this hammer. By the way, these odds found on every book. Every book had exactly the same odds. The last 3 games, the Bengals are scoring 33 points a game.
I bet they've won all of those games.
0, zip, zilch. Nothing. Nathan, nada. Nothing.
They're not good.
The Cowboys scoring 23.67, so they haven't really been all that bad offensively with Cooper Rush. Put them together, that's 56.67. The last 3 games, the Bengals have allowed 33.67, thus why they're losing every game. Can you imagine averaging 33 points a game and losing them all?
Joe Burrow is having a better statistical year than like Lamar Jackson, a lot of these dudes that you talk about in the MVP conversation, but he's not winning any games.
The Cowboys have allowed 26.67. That's over 60 points when you put them together. Cooper Rush has thrown for over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 INTs since taking over. Done pretty good. And the Cowboys gave up 20 points against the Giants last week, Hammer. The Giants got 20 against them. I'll go over 49.5.
Over 49.5. I feel like Cincinnati is good for some points. I think you're going to need a little help from them Dallas Cowboys, Rob.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
All right. How about you hop in the car? I'm driving. We're going down to the prop shop.
I take you to the
Prop
shop. I let you lick the lollipop. Go ahead, girl, don't you stop. Keep on going till you hit the
prop. We've been rolling. We have been rolling in the prop bets. Last week we were even, Steven. We went 2-2 last week. This week, we've got 5 plays for you. Now, we've already given you 2. Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns tonight. Josh Jacobs over 69 rushing yards tonight. Let's go to the rest of the games. How about Seattle and Arizona? You heard Kenny Britt. He thinks there's going to be offense. I think he's right. And I think DK Metcalf is in the mix. We're going to go over 60.5 receiving yards for DK Metcalf. You just heard Rob Kendall talking about that exciting Saints and Giants game. Malik Neighbors, good receiver. Could be great one day. But he's not touching 73.5 receiving yards this week. I know the Saints defense stinks, but you know who else stinks? The Giants quarterback, Christopher Moltisanti from The Sopranos. So we're going to go under 73.5 receiving yards for Malik Neighbors and the Eagles to score in every quarter. This is a fun bet that I found at Bet Rivers. Will Philadelphia score? Could be a safety, could be a field goal, could be a touchdown in every quarter. Regulation time, no overtime counts here. I said yes at -108. That's a pretty good number.
I like that.
Eagles scoring in every corner. That is what we got in the prop shop. Now, the king of the $1 bet.
That's right.
A man who has once bet a quarter on a betting app for golf. The cheapest man I know is going to teach you how to ball on a budget.
This happens to be a $100 minimum bet table. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of our lower stakes tables.
Oh! All right, you cheapskates. It's time for Rob Kendall's Ballin' on a Budget.
Very tight with $1.
All right, cheap ass, what are we doing?
All right, these are all money line bets. You put them together, you get some decent odds that can make some money. You got the Bucks minus 290 versus the Raiders. The Eagles are minus 800 at home against the Panthers. Dolphins minus 270 taking on the Jets. The Vikings minus 270 taking on the Falcons. Put them together, you get plus 196, which means a $10 bet would pay you $19.66.
And you've hit a number of these things this year.
Yeah, the only one that has me kind of worried in here is that Vikings minus 270 against the Falcons. I don't know what the Falcons are going to do. You never know with them. But everybody else, I think this is a pretty good little bet.
I'm telling you, I thought about that game. I was this close to pulling the trigger on taking the Falcons because I think it's a bounce-back spot for Kirk Cousins.
I agree with you.
There's no way he could be as bad as he was last week, and I think it's a bounce-back spot. I think you're going to be all right. Now, that's a kiss of death right there. I know that, but I was this close to hitching my wagon to the Falcons. All right, let's recap the board here. I'm on the Lions tonight, minus 3.5. We're going to go over 43.5 Browns at the Steelers. We're going to lay 3.5 with the Buffalo Bills. Arizona Cardinals, team total, over 23.5. Carolina Panthers, team total, over 16.5.
All right, Monday Night Football. Bengals at the Cowboys are going over 49.5. Bills minus 3.5 at the Rams. Saints minus 3.5 at the Giants. Browns and Steelers over 43.5. Chiefs versus Chargers under 43. And our balling on a budget is Bucks, Eagles, Dolphins, Vikings on the money line.
Those are our plays for this week. For Rob Kendall, for Kenny Britt of KB Sports, and all of our friends at StatFactory.io, I am Jason Hammer. Good luck, everybody. We will be back on Tuesday to talk about college football playoff matchups. Tuesday is the next podcast. Until then, may the odds be ever in your favor.